So I feel as though the Backrooms as a concept is something I would be into. On one hand, it has made the subgenre of horror involving liminal spaces really popular on the internet and the subject for a lot of new, cool, scary things. On the other hand, what makes me hesitant in approaching this is that it and its genre seems to have been so obnoxiously milked of any personality and drained any intrigue I once had for it, causing me to roll my eyes at even the mention of the word liminal. But now that the movie has come out, published by A24, presenting itself as more than just an internet creepypasta, my curiosity for it is reignited. While I think my initial hesitancy is still warranted, as I will make very apparent why, it is admittedly fascinating and worth looking into if you are a fan of horror, or as much as this word is overused in this context, a fan of liminal spaces. Now, if you've never heard the word liminal until now, or the term backrooms, don't worry, because I will make sure to say those two words probably over 100 times. Especially the word backrooms, as I will be starting from roughly the beginning.
Sound, camera,
rolling.
All right, and action.
On January 7th of 2022, Kane Parsons, known online as Kane Pixels, released this video titled The Backrooms Found Footage. This is a 9-minute long video that starts with a group of teenagers filming a little horror project. During this recording, the cameraman, as he's backing up, trips and no-clips into the backrooms, somehow falling through the ground and ending up here. Confused, he explores this disgustingly yellow complex whose layout seems to never end and only gets more abstract the deeper you go. The same yellow wall around every corner and the same constant buzzing from the fluorescent ceiling lights you can't escape. And everything remains in this strange anomalous state until... it's revealed that there is something else down here, and it sure as hell knows where you are. It's an effectively scary found footage film that makes you feel incredibly tense for its 9-minute long runtime. But this one video would only mark the beginning of the backrooms, as its seemingly infinite world would only find a way to get bigger. If you look at where the backrooms are now, it is so far from where it started. It went from uncanny office space, to uncanny pool area, to uncanny rolling hills. Like, this is still the same world, just having evolved from its yellow roots into really whatever it wants to be. Although the yellow labyrinth is certainly the face of the backrooms, it stopped focusing on just this one area and instead focused on expanding the aesthetic of liminality as a whole, evoking the feeling one would get searching inside something like an abandoned building. The curiosity of such a peculiar place pulls you in, but the entities that reside here push you to escape. With the world itself becoming more fleshed out, so do its inhabitants, as both these monsters that roam here and those foolish enough to explore are given more lore. But this lore is also kind of hard to pinpoint objectively, as everyone has their own interpretations of the backrooms. Universally, there's this somewhat in-between dimension called the backrooms, with creatures living in it, and scientists who are interested in it. However, whether these monsters mainly consist of stringy stickmen or bloody partygoers, and whether these scientists are part of the Async Research Institute, or MEG, the Major Explorer Group, and whether or not the backrooms itself consist of just one level, or hundreds of different ones, all depends on the sort of continuity you decide to follow. This is because even though Kane Parsons might have been responsible for popularizing the backrooms, he didn't actually make it. He doesn't exactly own the rights to it or its story. But no, the inception of the backrooms actually came from an even humbler beginning as just an anonymous post on 4chan that was paired with a vague and unsettling story. Since then, this one image has been built upon over the years into this collaboratively made and community-driven project, which can be taken in whatever way you want. Some people take the world and contribute to it one way, while others like Kane Parsons may have a completely different vision and try to cement their own story in another. It's very reminiscent of this collaborative horror project that was also pretty big years ago called SCP, Secure, Contain, Protect, where started off again as just a post on 4chan about one creature that would then balloon into thousands of creatures and articles written by all kinds of people. Seeing something like that reappear as another project anyone can take part in is endearing to see. So, where is the hesitancy in all this? Why would I be scared of something that strengthens and brings together a community through a neat open source project that anyone can use? Well, it's the fact that anyone can use it. Now, I'm not going to try and convince you that the backrooms used to be good when it was just about liminal spaces, and now it has become ruined by the influx of people writing in all kinds of entities and uncharacteristic levels not befitting of the original vibe. Instead, the thing that gets me is seeing how oversaturated the backrooms have become and how I've perceived it through the media I love to experience most and talk about, which are video games. And oh boy, if you do not understand what I mean by oversaturated, you sure will in a second. Because if you go to Steam and type out Backrooms, there is a crazy amount of results, all made by a crazy amount of different people. Let's go through some of them. At the start, the first 5 games are just labeled Backrooms of varying capitalization, and none of which are out yet. The 6th game is the main one I played with a friend called Escape the Backrooms, which I will talk about later. Beyond this point, however, I had no idea that you could add so many words and combinations of titles involving backrooms to create the number of games there are. Backrooms Escape Together, Backrooms Wreck, Inside the Backrooms, Backrooms Extraction, Backrooms Apprehension, Backrooms Society, Climb the Backrooms, Backrooms 2005, Backrooms Lost Runners, Backrooms Cleanup Crew, Backrooms Break, Backrooms Exploration, Budget Backrooms, Poly Backrooms, Backrooms Partygoers, Backrooms Body Camp, Backrooms Santa, Backrooms Zero, Backrooms Union, Backrooms Exploration, Backrooms Doors, Backrooms Body Camp 2, the long-awaited sequel, I guess, Backrooms 2026, Backrooms Cycle, Backrooms $99999999999, Expedition Backrooms, Within the Backrooms, Backrooms VHS, Backrooms Echo, Backrooms Lost Tape, Infinite Backrooms, Backrooms Lost Unit, Backrooms Protocol, Soviet Backrooms, Backrooms Imposter, Backrooms Fishing. Not only is this just an idle game, how does this at all relate to the source material? Backrooms Rogue Zero, The Backrooms Survival, Backrooms Missing Persons, Backrooms Black Market, Backrooms Black Hole, Backrooms Fade, Backrooms Complex, Backrooms Untold, Backrooms Deathmatch, because of course it had to be a battle royale, Backrooms Perpetual, Scarlet Backrooms, Backrooms Butcher, Backrooms Versus, Flee the Backrooms, Benny's Backrooms, Enter the Backrooms, Backrooms Found Footage, Return the Backrooms, Backrooms Escape, Chained in the Backrooms. This somehow rips 2 different ideas at once. Backrooms Hide Together, Backrooms Liminal Conflict, The Backrooms Unbounded, Backrooms Savior, Backrooms Chained Together. That is literally the same idea as the previous one. Meme Survivors Backrooms, The Backrooms Descent, Behind the Backrooms, In the Backrooms, Backrooms the Phobo Lore, what the fuck? Backrooms the Phobo Lore? Backrooms this one, The Backrooms Deluxe 2, Backrooms Facility Unknown, Scuff Backrooms, Running Through the Backrooms, The Backrooms Expedition, Backrooms Level X, Backrooms 8 Levels, Backrooms Anomaly, Backrooms Wits End. That's what I'm at right now. The Backrooms Project, The Backrooms Origins, The Backrooms Footage, The Backrooms Forsaken, Transliminal, Beyond the Backrooms, Backrooms Anomaly Pools, The Backrooms Company, Five Nights at Backrooms Waifu Edition. I am speechless. I can't even think of a snarky comment for this one. Expedition to the Backrooms, Into the Backrooms, The Backrooms Lost Guest, The Backrooms Game, Free Edition, Backrooms The Wrong Reality, Backrooms The Wrong Door, Echoes of the Backrooms Remastered, Backrooms Stories, The End. Skibbity Gyat Rooms. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. I think you get the point and can see the mass amount of Backrooms games that exist or will soon exist. Not to mention, this only scratches the surface of games that directly associate themselves with the Backrooms by name. There's games like The Bone Rooms, which I did play, and it's honestly kind of just silly. There's also one titled Pools, which, despite omission of the word Backrooms entirely, it's still just a level from the series. And there are other games that, while not associated, still seem to harp off the Backrooms vibe indirectly, like Subliminal, if you could tell by the sneaky usage of the word liminal. This was also not met very positively.
I would rather eat human feces. I will not be playing part 2. Don't even bother playing a part 2. This was actually so unbelievably bad, I can't fathom it. It's legitimately a 1 out of 10. I would rather be spanked for 4 straight hours with a spiked belt. That was bad! My God!
I will say, when something gets this popular, it's impossible to avoid this level of oversaturation. SCP had the same thing going for it with tons of spin-off games from fans. However, I don't think it was this bad. This is probably subjective, but I feel like more of the SCP games are made with passion by fans, while the Backrooms tend to look more like cash grabs, that they're just banking on a trend they can easily capitalize on. SCP does have the advantage of not being created in the time period of the worst imaginable brain rot, so I am kind of biased towards them to begin with, but that does seem to be changing. Without the brain rot though, since the Backrooms are still relatively easier to replicate, especially with the usage of AI nowadays, there's a lot of slop pumped out there, prioritizing more quantity over quality. I don't even like using the word slop because I feel like that word has been weaponized against a lot of things I enjoy and comes off as overly cynical, but I lack a better word. I mean, I see this long listing of games and occasionally can notice standout ones that aren't just asset flips and do look like there was some heart put into it, which is cool. Like I glance over at this game, which takes the Backrooms and makes it a top-down roguelike shooter. I think that's a unique and interesting spin on things, but then I scroll down to see that it uses AI generation, and I'm conflicted again. Or when I see something that is blatantly AI, I go back to my original hesitant standpoint. Trying to stay a little bit optimistic, there are good things here, because having an intriguing premise with hundreds of games revolving around it, they're going to be of wildly different qualities. If I were to exemplify this sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly style, the bad would certainly be any of these sloppy ones. The good would be something like the game I briefly mentioned, Escape the Backrooms. I bought this game for me and a friend back in December of 2023, which is crazy to think how long this game and just idea as a whole has been around, and it was fun to mess around it. It's also spawned a silly clip of us playing that I have fond memories of. Again, mind you, this was over 2 years ago, but it was this.
The power of Christ compels me! Oh, fuck!
Unfortunately, we didn't get the proximity chat working, so we didn't experience any multiplayer specific scares there might have been. It was just something with how my friend's mic was configured that the game did not like.
It went from base boosted to 100. Oh no, that's 10 times worse. Jesus Christ.
All those years ago, we never actually beat it because school tended to push us away, and there were more practical online games for us to play with our friends. For the time spent though, we really did vibe with it, especially the immersive liminal environment. I think it was specifically in this tunnel when we started doing a photo shoot that I realized the odd intrigue of liminal spaces. It wasn't until years later though, when the trailer for the movie came out, that I'd get back in contact with him, because there's no way I was going to let an entire movie be created from start to finish before we completed this game. So we got back into it all these years later, and flatly said, it was fun. I'm sure the enjoyment is amplified if you have a full lobby of 4 people, where it's both more chaotic, and you can also get the objectives done quicker. With just me and my friend, it still did a sufficient job at emulating the Backrooms experience into a game format that immersed us. It's everything Backrooms and more. Now, admittedly, there are some gripes I have, and the jank that came with it made it more painful than need be at times. Some of the entities are more annoying than a fun challenge to deal with, and some of the tasks to progress are tedious time wasters, which again is probably alleviated with the power of friendship. Also, coming back and seeing there was cosmetics and merchandising for plushies kind of set off alarms, because it made it somewhat reinforce the cash grab idea I thought most of the games were. And the last smallest complaint I had was the removal of the VHS filter that I had originally experienced years ago. Ironically, when making this game accessible to VR, as immersive as it gets, they had to remove the camera effect, which made it less immersive for keyboard and mouse players like me. What makes me forgive all of these little flaws though, is that not only was it able to get me and my friend of years back to playing something together, it was also clearly made from human passion. Fancy Dev, the creator of Escape the Backrooms, has a well-done devlog chronicling its entire creation, starting from what initially was a week-long side project, turning into an officially released and fleshed out game with dozens of levels, entities, different endings. I mean, you can tell the noticeable change from when he started as a student who was working on this along with a job, to shifting over and fully maintaining and updating this game with more and more features for fans of the Backrooms and fans of his own. So a lot of work and effort was put into this for groups of friends to experience together, and while my original gripes are still gripes, watching this series does show how good this is. I mean, I'll even show you myself. Let me pick a random video so you can see the love and care put into this. Okay, I take it all back. This game fucking sucks. I'll actually just put this one in the ugly category, not the good one. Okay, but seriously, we've got bad games and ugly ones now. Are there really any good Backrooms games? The answer is, of course, yes. However, what I would consider the Backrooms product I admire most and think is good is gonna seem a little bit cheaty of an answer, as it's not technically out yet. But again, seeing where it's coming from and the person making it, and playing the free demo that has more content than some full games out there, I can say I am excitedly anticipating the release of the Backworld by New More Games. It's not your traditional Backrooms game, but who would have thought I, the guy who loves RPGs' favorite Backrooms interpretation, is an RPG? Taking inspiration from both the Backrooms and Earthbound, The Backworld is the most unique departure of this source material. Not only is it one of the best looking with its beautifully haunting pixel art, juxtaposed with most of the ultra-realistic Backrooms games out there, its soundtrack is funky as hell with that indie RPG feel. I've already got some boss themes playing on loop. But my favorite aspect of it is that every single complaint I had for the long listing of games I mentioned does not apply here. It's not a cash grab, it's no asset flip, and it's made with more heart than a majority of the stuff out there. And while it uses the Backrooms as its setup, it manages to have its own identity with how it goes about telling the story. The creator talks about it himself and how he's really just taking the world and idea, but making it his own with how he presents it. This is most noticeable when looking at the main cast of characters who are a group of superhero kids, the farthest thing from Backrooms lore. But it perfectly does with a public idea I think more people should do, which is using it as a catalyst for your own thing rather than a crutch. That's what people like No More Games, Kane Parsons, and Fancy Dev have done, taking this idea that they've been given and making it their own. That weirdly, seeing these people take inspiration and let their creativity run wild is in of itself inspiring to see. To clarify some things, I do not want it to seem like I am discouraging any form of creation towards the Backrooms. While it is certainly oversaturated, if you are someone who wants to start making games or just stories in general and find the Backrooms is a nice place to start, by all means do so. It is an easy gateway into this kind of thing, but striving to make that thing your own and stand out amongst the sea of others is difficult, which is why when they do stand out, they stand out a lot. At the time of releasing this video, Kane Parsons' movie will be out, and man, do I hope it stands out. Because not only will it be a massive step for the world of liminal horror, but also just a massive step for indie horror projects, along with another victory for indie creations as a whole, and its community that helps it make it what it is. Even if that community is a little overdone. Backrooms Last Chance, Backrooms Security Room, Backrooms The Scream, Backrooms Step Into the Void, Sempiternal The Backrooms, Backrooms No Level, Hentai Tales The Backrooms,